We don't talk about money or sex in America.
And I want you to introduce to you the man, the one, the only, Ryan Pineda. So look, man, Ryan, I'm excited to talk to you because I've interviewed all kinds of people, and but you kind of lived part of my childhood dream there, going on the baseball side of it, which is awesome. And then of course you got the business accolades now, right? You've got a massive investor in Las Vegas. You got books that you, or a book that you've written so far, and training, YouTube, TikTok. There's so much cool stuff you got going on, right? But before we dive in all that stuff, I want to talk to the audience here a little bit. Maybe the people that don't know you right now, they're not following you on YouTube, which they should. But if they're not, tell us a little bit of background of who you are. How did you grow up? What was that childhood like when you got started?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Las Vegas. My dad came here from the Philippines when he was 17 years old. My mom was born in Arizona, and you know, I'm a rare breed who was born and raised in Las Vegas. There's not many locals.
That is very rare.
Yeah, so I grew up as an athlete, as you kind of alluded to. I had no desire to do anything other than play pro baseball.
Yeah.
And you know, I grew up in a middle-class family. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs. My mom was a realtor. My dad owned a convenience store. And so I never grew up with that 9-to-5 mindset, you know, because if we wanted to go on vacation or do something, they could, you know? And so I never knew any better of like, hey, you know, you can't do anything you want to do.
Sure.
So anyways, I was doing my baseball thing, and thankfully I was pretty talented at it. Got a full ride scholarship to, you know, Cal State Northridge, and, you know, was an All-American, did all that, ended up getting drafted to play pro baseball by the Oakland A's. And, you know, during that time, that was around the Great Recession, my parents lost everything.
Oh, man.
So we grew up middle class, and then, you know, when that hit, literally everything gone. Real estate obviously wasn't very good, convenience store gone. And so 18 to 20 was a really different time in my life. You know, I'm in college, not making any money. My parents aren't supporting me anymore because they don't have any money. And, you know, I become this pro baseball player, and I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm going to have to dig the family out of this. Sure. But, you know, in the minor leagues, you don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I realized over time that, hey, unless I actually make it to the big leagues, this isn't the career path to, you know, make money and have this life you're looking for.
Sure.
So that's how I kind of got my entrepreneurial journey started, was in my off seasons outside of baseball.
Man, there's so many cool aspects you hit right there. I want to go back to some of them here. Very rare on the show do I get a interview. I think I can only think of one or two times. Do I get to interview someone that kind of grew up in that entrepreneurial home? Right. You know, most people that interview that are successful today, a lot of them, you know, part of what drove them was because they didn't have any money. They grew up poor, you know, whatever it was, and it kind of drove them to find this level of success. You're the opposite. You grew up in a home of entrepreneurs. You grew up of that no 9-to-5 workload. It was, you saw your parents put in crazy hours, ups, downs, all the different stuff. Do you think that's part of what made you just naturally go the entrepreneur route?
Yeah, I think naturally that's just how I grew up. So I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But also too, when I was playing baseball, I just knew I could never have a 9-to-5.
Okay.
Because, you know, in the minor leagues, you're not making a lot of money. I was making $1,200 a month.
Right.
And that was my only income.
Right, yeah.
And so you do that for half the year, making $7,000 a year. And then the other half of the year, you're like, okay, how do I make money?
Right.
And nobody's going to hire you for a 9-to-5. So I was pretty much forced into it. I didn't really have a choice.
Yeah. Last question I have on that. Did your parents push you to go entrepreneur, or did they carry their way?
No, like I think about it like rich dad, poor dad. My mom had been, you know, so burnt out being an entrepreneur and, you know, having everything just vanish with the recession that she was like, you need to get a safe government job and all that stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
So even though she was an entrepreneur, she almost went the opposite way, saying, hey, wait a second. Because obviously, as you know, in entrepreneurship, there's ups and downs. There's the mountains and there's the valleys, right? And that's what I was kind of digging in there, because I was always wonder. I came from a non-entrepreneur home, And so it's unique to see the other side of that, where you have an entrepreneur home and what their kind of viewpoint of it was. So you go through high school here, and you're being a little modest because I think my research showed you were like ranked number coming out of high school. You were like the number 2 infielder coming out of high school, weren't you? Ranked number 2 in all of like Nevada. You're the number 2 infielder. Because you played shortstop and second?
Yep.
Second base?
Yep.
Both of those?
Yep.
And yeah, you came out ranked number 2 in your state coming out of high school. And you went on to college. Did you play all 4 years?
3 years.
You played 3 years. Did you graduate?
I actually did after I got drafted, yep.
Oh, so you went back after you got drafted?
Yep.
And finished it out. What was your degree in?
Economics.
Okay. And before we go down the baseball path, because I want to go down that road with you, because I think there's a lot of parallels between sports and business. I think there's a ton of like common denominators between those, right? Everything from teamwork to understanding how to win gracious, to understand how to lose. Like there's so many parallels there, right? But before I go down that road with you about baseball, I want the audience that are watching to know, what does Ryan do now? So where's your business now that you do? What do you do?
We've got a bunch of different businesses now.
Okay.
The backbone has always been real estate investing,
Okay.
mainly flipping houses, but even on the real estate side, we have many things. We have our house flipping operation, we wholesale houses, I have a rental portfolio, Airbnbs, I own a real estate brokerage in Las Vegas, and then we've built subsequent businesses off of those. I do real estate education now where, I coach people across the nation. I wrote a book. We're talking about YouTube and all these other influencer type deals where you make money that way.
Yeah.
I own a CPA company in Vegas. So I don't know. It's just like it's all happened so quick, and I love business. I love building systems. I love hiring people and just putting people in the right positions to succeed and then kind of stepping back.
Again, as soon as you say that, I think about sports and understanding what coaches do and putting the right people in the right positions, letting them play, training them in that position, and then letting them play. And you talked about it right there. But let's go back to baseball now for a little bit, because I'm sure there's people that are watching that probably grew up wanting to be a pro baseball player or a pro basketball or whatever it was. Is there anything in particular that stuck out in your mind looking back that made you want to choose baseball? Anything particular you can remember?
I grew up playing all the sports. I played basketball, and then I realized I was like a short Filipino, so that wasn't going to work out. And then baseball I was just naturally talented at. My mom, so I actually come from an athletic background.
Okay.
My mom was a college tennis player. She got a D1 scholarship, played tennis. My grandpa was an NFL player, so he played for the Green Bay Packers. And then my great-grandpa was an Olympian in water polo.
Okay.
So it was like this progression of not even any similar sports.
Yeah.
But, I just had natural athletic ability. And my mom, obviously growing up an athlete, pushed me towards all of those and gave me good coaches and all that. But, as I just went through sports, I realized, oh man, I'm just like way better at baseball than these other things.
Yeah. Did you end up playing all sports in high school, or did eventually you stop and just focus strictly on baseball?
Yeah, so funny story, when I got started as a freshman, I wanted to do everything because all my friends are playing freshman football and all that, and I go to get the waivers signed by my parents, and they're like, no, you're not playing. I'm like, come on, I want to play football, and they wouldn't let me play. So then I go to play basketball, and in basketball, my baseball coach was like, hey, if you go play basketball, you're not going to make varsity because we need you here. And I was like, dude. So I gave up basketball.
Wow.
And then I went to baseball, and I was a freshman on varsity, batting third, playing shortstop, and obviously it was the right decision. But from the get-go, it was like, all right, I'm already getting boxed in.
So you go through high school, you have a great career in high school, and you get a scholarship to go to play college ball. What was college ball like? What was that life like? That lifestyle?
Man, that was where I really grew up, and not only because I think a lot of people grow up in college or fall off the deep end.
Yeah,
one of the two.
one of the.
But I learned how to really manage my time because I tell you what, I don't know what it's like for those basketball players or football guys. I think they get a lot of things handed to them in college.
Okay.
But it's not like that in baseball. In baseball, you got to actually do your work, and you got to actually put the hours into school and all that. So I just remember every day was a grind. Like I'd go to class at like 7 to 12. Then I'd go to practice from 1 to 5, and then we'd lift weights from 5 to 6. Then I'd go home and do my homework. And like, it's insane being a student athlete. Like, I look back at it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't do it. There's no way I don't know how I did it, you know?
Yeah.
So I learned a ton about time management, about hard work. You know, my coaches were extremely tough on me, like extremely tough. And it's prepared me for life, because I would say that was probably the most difficult time in my life as far as like workload, learning to grow up. It was, like I said, during the Great Recession. 2008 was my first year in college, so just everything was changing.
Okay.
So, man, I learned a ton about just all of that.
You mentioned football players not having the same kind of school schedule, let's call it, as other athletes. And I see that a lot. I don't know if you watch Netflix a lot at all, but they have that TV show on Netflix called I think it's Last Chance U.
Okay.
Where it's football teams, and they kind of follow them around. And it shows them in school. And I'm like, what? This is college for you guys? Like, it's like, and again, maybe they're only, I've always wondered, like, are they only showing pieces of it? Because it's like, boy, there's like a personal tutor for like this one class that they're halfway go to, and that was it. And I've always thought, like, dude, that's like, wow, that's not the college experience that I had going through college. Mine was more like yours, whereas like, dude, it was a grind just to get through all the grades and stuff. And so that is more true. They have the lighter load there, huh?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, and I think too, a lot of it is, I mean, these guys are already famous.
Yeah,
you know, they can't be walking around campus.
Yeah,
you know?
It's true, man. Like, you think about like LSU with Joe Burrow. I'm a huge college football fan. How does Joe Burrow walk around campus?
He doesn't.
At LSU. Like, he's literally like bigger than almost the colleges while he's there to a certain degree, especially once he won. Like, how does that guy walk around and go to sit in a class with a teacher, being Joe Burrow, knowing he's going to go NFL, #1 draft, you know, all this different stuff. It's a very weird kind of life they live there. So you go through, I want to finish up the baseball thing here. So you go through college and then you get drafted.
Yep.
Was your dream to go MLB eventually?
Yeah, I mean, that was all I was working towards. I mean, even in school, I was a naturally good student, and I was focused on getting good grades, because I'm just, hey, if I'm going to do something, I want to be great at it.
Yeah, sure.
And so I did it, but it was just never really important to me. You know, I have an economics degree. Do I remember anything from it? No.
Yeah,
Everything I know about business is from doing business.
Sure.
But yeah, maybe I didn't pay attention as much as I should have, but I did what I had to do to get through school, and you know, getting to Major League Baseball was the goal.
Yeah, so you get drafted by the Oakland A's.
Yep.
And they start you off in, like, very typical, right? Single A ball, right? They got single, double, triple.
Right.
Right? And you start off in single A ball, and you're playing it out. Now, for me, you know, I played high school and then went to, like, the American Legions and all that different stuff. And then eventually, for me, I kind of realized there comes a point where you're like, man, I can no longer hang with this next level. Like, you know, you're good, and and then eventually it hit me like, dude, this ain't gonna, I'm not gonna make it more.
Right.
Did you go through any of those feelings, or is it more like, man, I could put another 5, 6, 7 years in the minor league, travel on a bus, and try to grind this thing out, or I need to go make a decision? What was yours? Where did it go for you at?
Yeah, I would say I always, you know, rose to the occasion. You know, I would have those feelings throughout. Like, I remember in high school when the first time I traveled out of state to see like these other guys, I'm like, these guys are good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to step my game up.
Yeah, sure.
And so it was good. Even being here, I'm like, this is amazing. I got to step my game up.
That's the first thing you said. Actually, when you came in my office, you're like, oh man,
I need to step my game up. And it inspires me seeing better people.
Yeah.
And, you know, in high school, I raised my game the first time I did that. In college, you know, you go to play these other schools from these other states, and you're like, that dude's good.
Yeah.
And so it's always inspired me to be better. And when I got drafted, now you're talking about not, like in high school, you're worried about your state.
Sure. Yeah.
College, okay, nationwide. Minor leagues, the world, right?
They're coming from everywhere.
Yeah, I'm seeing these Dominicans, these, you know, all these Latin guys, like, and they have nothing.
Yeah.
They're like, this is all I got. If this doesn't work, I'm done.
Yeah, it is
and
bad.
So, whereas us Americans were like, oh, you know what? If baseball doesn't work, I got some other stuff going on.
Sure.
So that was really inspiring to see. And I think as I progressed up the ladder, I realized, like, man, these guys are on a whole nother level of talent. And even with pure grit and will, I cannot match what these guys do. It's insane. And I think it's humbling to see that, like, in baseball and sports, there's a lifespan and there's a cap.
Sure.
Like you naturally have to be good at it. And then also, I mean, you only have so many years. I mean, you get old and you're out.
Right.
Whereas when I look at the business game, I'm like, man, there's so many ways to do business really well. You could do it forever. Like,
pass it down to the next generation.
yeah, and so, man, it's just, I learned so much just seeing these talented guys.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where, you know, I've been retired for a few years now, and some of my friends who have played in the big leagues are now retired too, because it's like, man, 31, 32, starting to get near the end. I mean, really good guys can play
Right,
mid-30s.
the top of the top of the top. Yeah.
Right, and so now they're done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is like, now they're like wanting me for advice. I'm like, this is so odd. Like,
Yeah.
So it's interesting, man.
That's cool, man. I was going to ask you as you were talking about it, do you have any times now you're in business, and you know in business, man, there's some low days.
Yeah.
Where you're like, man, or you get attacked, you get sued. I don't know if you've ever been sued, but you know, something bad happens, whatever it is, or everything goes wrong on a deal, and you're like, dude, this is the bottom. On any of those days, do you ever look back and think, man, I wonder if I'd have kept going a little bit longer, could I have made it? Do you have ever had those thoughts run back in your head?
No, because my career, I got released by the Oakland A's after 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And that was when I thought, hey, all right, the next phase of my life. And I ended up going to play in what's called independent baseball, where you can go play, you know, outside of the affiliated ranks and try and get back in.
Right.
And I ended up doing that for 5 more years.
Oh, did you? Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't for that, I mean, like, you know that it's a very low probability that you're going to get back.
Yeah.
It happens, but it's low. And I just learned at that point to just, for the love of the game I was playing, because I knew I had a lifespan.
Yeah, sure.
And I knew that, hey, where else can I go travel the world and the country and get paid to do it and have fans watching me, and like there will be nothing like it again in my life.
Right.
Maybe public speaking.
Yeah.
But like every day to do that, and I just did it every day, and I loved it. And it was eventually I had to quit because my business was growing so rapidly that they just finally hit head on, where I was like, I got to let this go.
Yeah.
So I think I played so long, and you know, I just didn't have those regrets.
Yeah, sure. Last question I got for you. I heard that you actually played for like the Manila, represented the Philippines.
Yep.
In some tournaments. How did that come about?
Yeah, so they have the World Baseball Classic, which
Right.
is like the Olympics for baseball, and this was in 2012. They're looking for players of Filipino descent, and as long as you had a parent who has Filipino heritage, you qualified. So I had never been to the Philippines.
Yeah.
I don't speak Tagalog. I don't I'm Filipino obviously, and I love the food, but I was like, yeah, I'm in. And so ironically,
How old were you?
23.
23. Okay.
Yeah, and ironically, even on that team, like Philippines is not known for sports.
Sure.
So I was
Maybe
the best.
minus boxing with Pacquiao now?
Yeah, Pacquiao's
That's like
it,
king
but-
of them, right? Like,
yeah, but everything else, you're
Yeah.
not seeing Filipinos. And so I was the best player on the team. I was batting third, playing short again. And I'm like, man, and it was an amazing experience. We got to go play in Taiwan.
Okay.
So we played a bunch of different teams, and that was one of definitely the highlights of my career.
Was playing on that Philippine
Yeah.
team
Yeah.
representing the, I guess I wouldn't say home country because your home country is America.
Yeah.
But maybe the heritage,
We'll call it
the
the
bloodline,
homeland.
the homeland, the mothership of the Pineda. I want to take just a second, kind of move from baseball, and I want to go into some of your business now. Before I do that, I want to go through a little section here on the show that we call Rapid Fire. And this is going to be some rapid fire questions I got for you. I've got a handful of them here. These are going to be all over the board. And you just tell me what first thing kind of pops in your head of what you would maybe think here. So I'm going to give you a choose one. Okay, here it is. Would you rather get hit by a Randy Johnson fastball? Okay.
I don't even need to hear the second thing.
Well, you may want to, okay? Our writers are pretty good here. So get hit by a Randy Johnson fastball, or spend an hour letting Joe Biden admire your hair. Because you have got some hair, brother. You have got some killer hair.
Oh, man. That one's tough.
That's going to be a tough, because Randy can
Yeah.
throw that heat, man.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
would you choose? Randy Johnson fastball or Joe Biden admiring your hair?
You know, I'm gonna have to look at old Joe for an hour. I'm not taking the big units. I'm not taking the big unit in the ribs,
heat,
dude.
man. Yeah, you'd break some ribs if that guy hit
Yeah.
you. You remember that? Of course, being a baseball fan, you remember the two. And I always think about Randy Johnson when he blew the bird up.
That was insane.
That's insane.
Like, that'll never happen again.
Dude, I mean, throws it, a bird flies,
Yeah.
ball hits it, and literally doesn't nick it, like explodes it, like disintegrated it. It was crazy. And I don't know if you ever remember, I think it was an All-Star game when he was facing John Kruk. If you remember John Kruk.
Yeah, he put his helmet backwards.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I'm not getting in this batter box with you.
No.
Here we go. What comes to mind when I say the word TikTok?
The future.
The future.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you on this one, man. And I want to dive into that with you on TikTok a little bit later here. What was your biggest home run or hit of your career at any level? What was your biggest home run or hit?
I think I've had about 3 or 4 walk-off home runs.
Okay.
And those have always there's nothing like it, man.
Yeah.
You just end the game. Everyone's
the whole team's
at home plate.
the plate.
So I've been fortunate enough to have, a few of those.
Yeah, so those are your all-time favorites.
Yeah, I can't say one was better than the other, but they're all great.
Here we go. Next one. Okay, Nancy Pelosi becomes a senior partner in your business, and you report to her. Or Trump bans TikTok, and you lose 1 million of your followers overnight.
Oh man, these aren't rapid fire. You got to really think about them because you got to weigh the pros and cons. Trump's just gonna have to ban TikTok. I'm not gonna.
You don't report to Nancy Pelosi?
No, I'm not reporting to anyone.
She could explode your business, bro.
Nah, I'm all right.
You're good with it?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, next one. Best place you've ever played?
The best place.
Or city, best city you've ever played in?
I would say it's my first city I got assigned to, Vancouver, Canada.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
And Vancouver is obviously a beautiful city, but what I'll say is I've played for 2 Canadian teams. I played in Vancouver and Winnipeg.
Okay.
The Canadian fans are unreal.
Yeah.
They're on a different level than the American fans.
Sure.
They just love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Worst, you should have a good one for this one. Worst accommodations you had in the minors?
Oh my gosh, how long do we have on rapid fire? I'll give a quick story. So
yeah, you can do it.
one city I was playing in was in Dallas, Texas, and we had a bus ride to Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh
so
my
you're talking
goodness.
a 24-hour bus ride.
Wow.
And a lot of these bus rides, you get done with the game at 10 o'clock. You don't leave the city until midnight. Okay. And you have to play the next day. So the game's at 7 o'clock the next day. So I think we're going to Nebraska that day, and this was standard. Okay, this is not a one-time deal. On the bus ride, since we're sleeping there overnight,
right?
We all bought floaties.
Like a pool floaty.
Yeah, like a pool floaty, like a raft,
Sure.
and that was our bed. So we would all have our floaties. We'd go to the bus end, and we would put them on the ground, and we'd sleep on the ground in the bus. Because it's just your typical 2-seater bus on each side.
Right.
So we'd each get a 2-seater, and I would sleep right under the seats on a floaty.
Yeah, I don't think most people understand the grind of minor league baseball.
No.
When they think pro baseball, they think, okay, you're on a plane flying from city to city.
Right.
And it's not that way. You're on a bus going from Fargo to Texas, little by little by little, on floaties, I suppose.
Well, and you asked me earlier, you're like, man, when you have a bad business day, are you like, man, you know what? I'm like, no. I've seen it all.
I've seen the worst, man. What would be worse for you? Strike out looking or swinging?
Man, that's a tough one. Striking out just sucks because if you swing at a bad pitch, you're like, why did I swing at that? Especially if it's 3-2, you're like, I would have had a walk. And then if you strike out looking, you're like, why did I not swing at that? I don't know. Swinging at a bad pitch.
Swinging, what you go with.
Yeah.
Last one I got for you. What would you rather have? Hit a walk-off home run in the World Series to win the World Series, Game 7.
Okay.
Or make $100 million in your real estate business?
I would say walk-off home run. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I think I could still go do the real estate after.
That's true, man. I've had a couple athletes and they've always said, like, dude, I would take that thing because I go build a business.
Yeah.
But that's like one of those things that, dude, you would, like, I always think about as a kid watching, if you remember Joe Carter.
Yep.
When he did that with the Blue Jays, right?
Yep.
And just went absolutely nuts
Yeah.
at that World Series, right? And the other thing you got to think about, okay, if you hit a walk-off Game 7 World Series, you've got to be getting paid some already.
You're famous forever.
Yeah, and then after that, you're going to be you're going to be famous, man. Joe Carter is still famous.
Kurt Gibson.
Yeah, they're all famous for those walk-offs, right?
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's shift into your business, right? So you get out of sports, and then you move into this business. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you start off as a real estate agent.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. Why'd you go agent route?
So I got drafted in 2010, and I did not sign for a lot of money. I signed for $20,000.
Okay.
And actually, that was a lot of money for me. But not
back then you're like, dude, I'm set. I'm done.
I could probably retire.
Yeah.
And I knew I need to get a job.
Yeah.
And so it was that same deal of like, nobody's gonna hire me. I have to get a job.
For 6 months or whatever it is.
They know I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So naturally, my mom had been a realtor.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I can make money doing this.
Yeah.
And so I just got licensed at 21 years old.
Okay.
And became a realtor in the worst possible time to be a realtor in 2010 when prices are at all-time lows. So even if you make a commission, it ain't nothing. Like, great time to be an investor.
Yeah, for sure.
But as a realtor, man, that was rough. But I didn't know any better. Once again, it was like, oh, this is what being a realtor is about. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people that even get started in real estate, I've seen, I'm sure you see now as you coach people, is that a lot of times people that want to be investors, some might end up starting as an agent because they think that's kind of part of that game, is being an agent and to make you an investor. But really those have very, very little to do with each other, being an agent and being an investor.
Right.
Would you say those are two totally different concepts for the most part?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, I think being an agent has advantages.
Sure.
But no, I mean, I see a lot of people, especially who are asking me if they want to get investing. The first question I always get is, okay, should I get my license?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't have to.
Right. Because I get asked the question all the time, is there a license to go flip houses? And the answer is no, there's not a license that you need to go flip license, but there is a license to be a real estate agent. On that note right there, I want to ask you that question because you are a hybrid. You have, not only are you an agent now, but you are.
Well, I actually gave up my
brokerage.
license.
Oh, you gave up it. Do you still have your brokerage?
Yeah, I still own the brokerage.
Okay, so you have the brokerage that you're still on there, and you're also an investor. Now looking back at your career, would you tell investors to go get their license, or would you say, dude, don't worry about it, just go into investing, and if you want to get it later? Which one do you lean towards?
I actually made a YouTube video about this like 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
because
cool.
it's just such a common question.
Yes, for sure.
And I think for 95, maybe 90% of people, a license has benefit.
Okay.
I think most people starting out don't have a lot of money. That's why they're getting into it.
Yeah.
And I think the more ways you have to make money is a benefit. So all these sellers you talk to that you're trying to get discounted properties from, if you can list it, it just adds another stream.
Yeah. So you go through, let's go back to your career here. You kind of go through as this agent as you start, but you make this shift eventually into becoming an investor. Right. I want to talk about that transition right there. What took place? Why did you shift, and how did you kind of get into the investing world there?
Yeah, so in 2010, that's when I started. I probably was an agent for like 3 years, kind of full-time. Okay. Not full-time, but when I wasn't playing. And I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I hated that I knew that there were great deals.
Okay.
And people weren't buying them.
You could see them.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm showing my clients this. I'm like, this is a great deal. And then they'd get hung up on the counters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, you gotta see past that. And they couldn't see past that. And nobody ever really taught. I didn't have a mentor or anything. So I didn't have anyone teaching me how to market or lead gen or do anything. I'm just winging it. And I just quit. I said, you know what? This is just not for me. Real estate's not for me. I'm just gonna figure out what's next. And so I needed a job. And so I started just doing side hustles.
Okay.
And so the biggest side hustle I got into was by accident. My wife and I got married really young. She was 21, I was 24. And I quit real estate and I said, okay, what are we gonna do to make money? And we moved into our first apartment together and I bought all the furniture on Craigslist. Okay. And on Craigslist, I was buying it so cheap, right? And I had this revelation after I bought it. I was like, man, I paid like $1,000 to furnish a whole apartment. Yeah. And I guarantee I could sell this stuff for at least $3,000-4,000.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna test it. So I ended up buying a couch for like $100, sold it for $300 a couple days later. I was like, I'm making way more money doing this than showing houses.
You picked up $200.
$200 like that. And I go, what if I bought a couch a day? That's $6,000 a month.
Yeah.
And so the wheels start turning. I'm like, let's just do it. And so I bought a truck on Craigslist for $1,500 because I didn't have one. I was like,
I love the hustle, man.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, let's just test it.
Okay.
So pick up a couple couches, some appliances, some tables, like anything I think is undervalued.
Yeah.
Fill up the apartment. My wife's like, you're gonna have to go take this somewhere else. So I go
so
buy.
now you have like 3 stoves, but 2 of them are not even hooked up. They're just sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So your apartment becomes your like holding, your warehouse, if you will. Yeah, that would be great for a start-off marriage too.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sure she loved that.
I'm glad she's still with me.
Yeah.
And so I end up selling them all. I'm like, I'm onto something.
Okay.
So I ended up getting a bunch of storage units. I had like 4 10 by 30 storage units.
Okay.
Drive up. and I'm running a legit business out of there. I'm making on average about $8,000 net profit a month, flipping all this stuff.
You're 24, 25.
Yeah, I was making great money.
Quit agency.
I'm making way more doing this.
Yeah.
And I really just learned I love buying deals.
Okay.
And eventually, though, I reached my first cap where I'm like, I'm literally buying everything possible. This is what it is.
Yeah, I've maxed this out.
Yeah, I've maxed it out. And I just remember I was praying to God that day. I'm like, dude, I'm 25. What do you want from me? Like, I'm not doing this the rest of my life.
Sure.
And I ended up seeing a commercial from Scott Yancey about this, and we were talking about that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get into flipping houses. Like, I know I could do it. I have the real estate background. I could find deals, but I don't have any money.
Okay.
And I ended up finding a website called Bigger Pockets.
Yeah.
They start telling me about hard money and all this. I'm like, that's what I've been looking for this whole time. Mm-hmm. That was it. I knew how to find deals. I just didn't know anyone with money.
Sure.
So I end up finding my first deal. I get hard money. I don't have a down payment.
Okay.
So I max out all my credit cards for about $50,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey babe, I know we're young, but trust me, I think this is gonna work. And
I love it, man.
Thankfully it did. We've made good money on the first one, and then I literally maxed out my credit cards for the next few years just building the business.
Yeah. There's so much I want to dive in here too, so let me back up just for a second here. Number one, I hear you mention your wife a lot.
Yeah.
Through all those stories. Give the viewers, obviously as an entrepreneur, man, there's ups and downs. Like you said, you're almost like selling your partner on, we could flip couches, this could be huge, right? Yeah. Back in the day, right? Give the viewers a little bit of maybe definitions of what do you think describes, some words that describes your wife's maybe personality.
So my wife is very laid back.
Okay.
Like if I present an idea to her, she's never been one to be like, oh man, that's risky, I don't want to do that. We're both cut from the same cloth that way, where we're like, all right, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
So I'm very fortunate in that. She was just allowing me to start these businesses, to run them, to put our, financial, everything at stake.
Yeah, everything you had at that point.
Right. Well, everything we didn't have.
Yeah, you didn't even have it.
I didn't have it, and we're putting it, at stake. And so she just believed in me.
Yeah.
And we've been rewarded ever since. And even when I do start new things now, I'm like, I'm going to do this. And she's like, all right,
Yeah.
And I know that there are a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to who are like, how do I get my wife on board?
Sure.
Because they're not like her.
Right.
They're very risk averse. They're the budget keepers, and they're like, we don't have the money to do it.
Right.
Whereas my wife has never cared about money at all. She grew up the opposite of me. Her family did not have a lot of money. She grew up her parents still live in the same condo they bought 28 years ago. I'm like, that's insane, And she never had any of this stuff. She never had vacations and all these things I had. And so any money we've ever had is just gravy to her.
Yeah. Your wife being a person that wants to, or kind of supported and allowed you to go through this process, did she help partake? Like, was she a part of it, or is it you ran with it and she kind of watched from the sidelines whether you were a crash or make it here?
She's always been a sidelines kind of cheerleader on most things. Obviously, she wasn't flipping furniture. She had no desire to do that.
Yeah.
On the first few house flips, she got involved with design, and then it was like the reality shows where she's going over budget, and I'm like, we cannot do this. And then she's like, well, I quit. I
quit. You're a horrible boss.
Yeah, we're not. If I can't have the designs I want, I don't want to be a part of this.
It's awesome.
And so, even with house flipping, I did my own thing. Now, with my new endeavors like YouTube, she's been great because she actually loves YouTube.
Okay.
She's been on YouTube way longer than I ever even thought about it. And so she's helping with editing, thumbnails, everything.
Awesome. So you flip these couches, right? And you start this business of flipping couches. And I know we're going to talk about TikTok in a little bit, but you go on TikTok and you kind of tell the story about you flipping couches.
Yeah.
And I've seen some stuff on TikTok, your videos, where some people called you out on it.
Yeah.
And said, no, you can't do that. That didn't happen, and so forth, right?
Yeah.
What do you? And you made a whole video, basically, literally showing them, hey, haters, this is exactly how it works there. Why do you think there's so many freaking haters out there, man? No matter what happens, there's haters, right?
Right.
Why do you think they exist?
Man, that's a good question. And that's something that it's frustrating because you want to give people a way out and you want to help them, and then
you know it works. I mean, it worked for you. Like I'm showing you, like this is how I did it, right?
Yeah, and step by step. And you still have people who doubt.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's something I still struggle with because I want to like literally tell everyone, like, I want to prove every single person wrong.
Yeah.
And then it comes to a point where you're like, dude, this person's just an idiot. Like, what are you
You're
supposed
never
to
going
do?
to convince them
Yeah.
of whatever it is. You could literally show checks of it or whatever it is. It's not going to change. And I see a lot happens with brands is that they get hyper-focused on the haters, if you will. And you're like, no, dude, look, I'll show you it's real. And they spend this time hammering on this road and they lose all their actual, supporters that are actually, dude, this is actually helping my life right now.
Well, and I think the thing that I've realized with the haters too is like, they're the minority.
Sure.
The people who really love it, most don't say anything.
Yeah.
They're just like out doing it.
Yeah.
And then you get the small percentage who are the haters, who seem to, take up a lot of your mental capacity.
Yeah. Well, it hurts, dude. I know people say, like, Gary Vee, we both follow him, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it, have empathy. And I actually do. I do believe what he's saying there. There's like something's wrong that if you don't want to jump on and attack someone, that it doesn't make any logical sense. But at the end of the day, I'm still human, and they're saying some pretty hurtful stuff, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
And dude, that stuff still hurts. Like it does affect me. It like, ouch, that one stung a little.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah, it's interesting, man, because you see on TikTok, it's a younger audience.
Sure.
So a lot more immature. They're not very smart.
Right.
And then you see on Instagram, I have like way less haters. I get like a lot of great comments. And then it seems like on Facebook with the older audience, you get everyone just bickering back and forth about it.
They're
It's
like
like
fighting with each other more than with you, right?
Yeah.
On Facebook, it's weird.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, this is so odd that at all levels, it's just people are just people.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go back to this. So you're flipping these couches. You made this move into fix-flip houses. Now, I want the viewers to know you're not a flipper out there that's out there buy, fixing, selling 3 houses a year.
Yeah.
Which is still a great feat. There's a lot of beginners out there that would love to fix 3 houses a year, which is, I remember when I did my first 3, it was like, my God, I did 3 in a year. But you went to this next level. You've taken this idea, investment strategy of fix and flip, and have really turned it from an investment almost more into a business that you're running to this degree. Give the viewer some numbers here on fix and flips that you've done.
I would say at this point, we're probably around 400 fix and flips.
That is how many years?
Well, I started in 2015. So I went from 5 in 2015.
Okay, your first year.
First year with no money.
Yeah.
Maxing out credit cards to 20, to 50, to like almost 150, to another 100 last year. And this year we'll do probably 100 to 150.
That is crazy. I mean, look, I've done it before. When you hit that 100 mark, a fix and flip, and 150, it's a different beast.
Yeah.
You're no longer just like, fixing. It's a business, and you have to run it as a business, right? And you have different people that help you, of course, do that. When you kind of scale this business, one thing that I think a lot of people struggle with in the fix and flip world is the financial side. Mm-hmm. Whether it's their first property, like you kind of stumbled across bigger pockets and harder money lenders. You learn, oh wait, there's this lender that will loan me based off of these percentages. And we've interviewed some of those lenders here. But there's a different machine when you go from 5 houses a year to 150 houses a year when it comes to money and the finances behind it.
Right.
How did you kind of scale and find the money to go to that next level of fix and flip? Where did the money come from?
So money is what scaled my business. Okay. Up until that point, I was just strictly credit cards, hard money lenders. Mm-hmm. And so finally, when I was able to raise private money for the first time, it was probably after my 25th, 30th deal.
Yeah.
This guy from my Bible study, he had been watching me grow the last 2 years, and I knew he had money, but him and I, we're in Bible study. We're not talking about that. And he approached me one day and he said, let's go to golf. I said, okay. And he's like, hey, I want to invest in your real estate business. And he's like, tell me what it looks like.
Okay.
Name your terms. I'm like, well, this is what I get on hard money. If you could give me the same, but, cover everything, that would be great. If I don't have to come out of pocket at all and make these monthly payments, then I could really start buying some deals. And he's like, all right, done. And I'm like, okay. He's like, let's start off with $500,000, buy a couple, see how it goes, and then I'll scale up from there. So did $500,000, got him his money back.
Yeah.
It was good. He's like, all right, we'll go to $1 million. All right, got his money back. We'll go to 2. Hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you about my friend.
Yep.
And that's just really how it all played out.
I love the story, man. It takes me back because a lot of investors that I see, they get in this mental battle of I don't want to use a hard money lender, and they're like, well, that guy's going to charge me whatever it is at the time, 12%, 15%, whatever it is, right? 10%. Bank of America lends money at 4%. I don't want to pay this guy 11% interest, whatever it is, right? And they had this fight of not wanting to pay this lender. My advice was always, dude, go use that private money, that hard money lender. They're literally built for what you want, like to the T, built for what you want. And then once you get that street cred, you can go get the private money. But private money, to me, you got to have some street cred, some proof of concept that you know what you're doing, and the private money you can get afterwards. Exactly. You agree?
I agree, 100%. I mean, it took me to do 2025 before he was finally willing to do it.
And what would have happened, if you look back, like what would have happened if you'd have never agreed to those hard money terms that you paid? Do you remember any of those terms back then?
Man, I was paying a pretty penny. I was paying 12% and 4 points.
Yeah, so they have like points and interest, right?
Yep.
3 and 13, 4 and 14, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
I paid up to 5 and 15 before on hard money loans. But at the end of the day, I would have never got to 150 in a year if I would not have done those first couple, whatever it was, 20 or so with hard money loans.
Exactly.
Do you still use hard money loans today?
Oh yeah. And the reason I use it today now is because it is so much cheaper than it was before.
The game's changed a lot.
Yeah, and so now it's like, okay, I don't mind using you guys.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's really just about the deal. Like,
exactly.
As long as you factor into the deal, you're fine.
It's just the cost of doing business.
Yeah, that's all it is. You wouldn't have a problem paying your contractor, right?
That's what I always say, man. Like you pay your contractor. It's funny because you pay the appraiser, you pay the real estate agent to list it, you pay the wholesaler to find it. You pay the contractors to fix and flip it, the landscaper to do it, and then it's like, but I'm cool paying all those people, but I'll pay Home Depot for materials, but I'm not going to pay the interest to the lender.
I don't want to pay the guy who's most at risk.
The guy who literally is going to give you the ability to go do all that stuff. Like, no, screw that guy. I'm not going to pay him. It's like, I look back and think, man, and I've always, as I taught in the past, that was always one of the struggles we dealt with, was that. And our stories are very similar in that we went down the road, did it. The private money started showing up, better terms, better whatever it is, scalable terms, because you maybe don't have the payments, to go through. And I did the same thing. I still used hard money even throughout the process. I kind of used it as filler money during deals and so forth, but it was still there, man. Same thing with, I want to get your opinion on this. You talked about using credit cards for deal flow. And whether it was for rehab or whether it was for, paying people or down payments, whatever it was. What's your kind of viewpoint on using credit cards on fix and flips?
To me, credit cards get a bad rep. I mean, I did a video on YouTube about Dave Ramsey. He hates them.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, man, we have no issue getting all this student loan debt.
Oh, take it like that, right?
Yeah, we got no issue getting all other forms of debt. Mm-hmm. Yet when it comes to credit cards, we're like, no, don't do that. Even when you use it for something that is going to make you money.
Right.
Like, it just becomes another cost of doing business.
Yeah. I've always looked at credit cards when it comes to fix and flip as, you got like consumer debt and you have investment debt.
Yep.
Okay, so then if I'm going to buy investment debt with this credit card, what's the difference between that OPM and the bank's OPM over here?
Yep.
Minus, okay, so maybe one's interest rate's lower than the other, but I also got credit cards where it's 0% interest.
Right.
So how am I going to beat OPM at 0% interest for 12 months?
And that's exactly how I started. I literally went to every credit card company that had 0% for 12 to 18 months, applied,
for sure,
maxed them out.
I love it, man. I'm a huge supporter in that. I still to this day use credit cards as a way of investing. It's just you got obviously looking at risk, right? You got to manage your risk there. You got to manage your interest, calculate it in as a cost of doing business. But still, to this day, I probably shouldn't say this even on air, but I have like a 3-ring binder. You know how they have those binders where they hold business cards?
Yeah.
I have that with credit cards, and I've now I kind of built my family through getting out of being maybe poor and stuff, and so they all support me now. So it's like, dude, I have like here's like my dad's credit cards, my mom's credit cards, my sister's credit cards. Dude, it's insane.
Yeah.
And I manage all of them, and it's a way that I'm making money off of it.
Right.
It's crazy, man. Talk to me about your, wait, before you go to the next point here, if someone wanted to learn more about your fix and flip business, that you've kind of mastered this concept, right? Where would they get more info on your fix and flip business?
Yeah, so if you want to learn how we fix and flip, you can go to futureflipper.com.
Okay.
And we've got a bunch of different programs. You can download my book for free, our contracts for free. We give a ton of free value. And if you want to be coached by me or get our courses, you can pay for those as well.
So it's called futureflipper.com.
Yep.
Why'd you name it Future Flipper?
Well, my book I wrote is called Flip Your Future.
Okay.
And so they kind of go
Hand
together.
in hand there, gotcha.
And I mean, people are trying to, become future flippers.
Yeah, for sure.
Not only on being a house flipper, but flip their whole life. And there's a lot of play on words.
Yeah, there always is, man, with entrepreneurs. Yeah. So it's called futureflipper.com. They can go there and get more information on you. I wanted to go to your YouTube, though, because you produce a ton of YouTube videos. You were talking to me backstage. You're doing like one a day or something of YouTube videos right now.
Yeah.
So before I ask you why you went that route, just if they want to watch your YouTube videos, what's that handle right there? Do you know?
Yeah, so Ryan Pineda Show, that is my handle on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Luckily, it was available.
That's pretty unique, man.
Yeah, so we named it the Ryan Pineda Show, but no and everything, just Ryan Pineda Show.
All right, we'll make sure we put it on the bottom of the screen here as well. So they can follow on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, on the same handle there, Ryan Pineda Show.
Yep.
Okay, so why did you go to YouTube? What was your angle there?
I was sitting in quarantine thinking about the world.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people were doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
I was watching Tiger King.
Okay.
I
saw that too.
That's what I did.
So I don't want to act like I was doing like all this like righteous thinking.
Yeah, sure.
Like I watched some trash TV
This
too.
makes me feel good, man. I was worried. I'm like, man, was it only me?
No, I don't want to name all the things I've watched.
All right, good. So at least there is their side.
I've even watched like the after Tiger King
I did too,
stuff,
with Joe McHale, I think it was. Yeah, I watched it, bro. Okay, I don't want to waste any time on it. Go to your YouTube though.
Okay, so I'm sitting there
in between these shows.
Yeah, so I'm going there in quarantine thinking about, and I didn't have a channel. Okay. I may have, my team may have had it, but we didn't do nothing.
Okay.
And I'm just sitting there thinking about the world, and I'm like, where's the world headed here? Mm-hmm. Business is going to change. The world's changing. What's the future?
Yeah.
And I had many people on Instagram where really that was the only place I was active.
Yeah.
I had many DM me many times saying, hey, you should be on YouTube. Your content's good. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. YouTube's whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess my initial perception of YouTube was it's not really like a place to engage with your fan. Like you can't even DM somebody, right?
Right.
And so after having multiple people tell me that during quarantine, I go, all right, let me look into YouTube.
Okay.
And I start watching videos of other creators, and they're going over how much they're making on YouTube. And I'm like, you're telling me this YouTuber's making $1 million a month? And I was like, that's net profit.
Yeah.
Right? We run businesses where, we're trying to maximize profit. There's nothing that can beat.
Nothing close to it.
Yeah, net profit wise. And I'm like, whoa. And then I'm hearing about this kid named Ryan that opens toys.
Yeah,
makes like $20 million a year net profit.
Opening toys.
Yeah, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
I remember working my ass off, and this kid's opening toys.
He's opening toys at 8 years old, making 20 mil.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm like, okay, I believe it. And so the other point was somebody made a great argument to me. They were like, look, on Instagram and Facebook, how would anyone find Ryan Pineda organically?
Okay.
And it's like, they wouldn't. Most likely they would see me on The Money Is Show.
Yeah.
They'd see me on Bigger Pockets. They'd see me on something and they'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go follow Ryan.
Right.
But it never happens through the platform, really. Whereas YouTube is a search engine.
Right, yep.
And so if I put out a bunch of content that says, here's how to flip your first house, here's how to calculate rehab cost, here's how to get private lenders, I'm getting the exact person searching for that, and they're gonna find me.
Yeah.
And so I think to be found on YouTube is much easier. And not only that, YouTube pays you to do it. YouTube's like, hey, let's do ads together and we'll pay you.
Yeah.
Whereas Instagram's like, yeah, you can put your stuff here, but we'll get all the ads and just keep putting stuff, man. Just do it.
It's free content. It's crazy for Instagram.
Instagram's got a monopoly. Like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And so once I saw that, I was like, why would anyone that's a creator only do Instagram. It makes no sense. And that's why you hear the term like YouTubers, like they make so much money. It's not like, man, that Instagrammer makes all, like, no, they don't.
Yep. Yeah. No one says that one.
No
right?
one says that.
Yeah.
And then I saw TikTok on top of that, and you hear Gary Vee talking about it all the time. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. I'm like, whatever, Gary. And I got on it because somebody finally just, once again, it's like, get on. I hear it too many times. I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
Right.
And I just start putting out content. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm dancing. I'm putting out real estate content.
Yeah. I've seen them, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
Sure.
And eventually it just starts get a couple viral videos. And within 4 months, I have 200,000 followers. And I'm like, I've been on Instagram for 5 years and I have 20,000 some followers.
Yeah.
Like working hard.
Right.
And then in 4 months on TikTok, I have 200.
Yep.
Like, this doesn't add up. And it's because on TikTok, it's similar to YouTube in that if you're good, they'll push you organically within the app and people will see you.
Right.
Whereas Instagram could care less about you.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think TikTok, YouTube are the future, is like good creators are going to get found.
Yeah. On YouTube, go back to YouTube for a second now. I got a couple questions here for you. Number one, are you doing any of the YouTube stories right now? Do you play with that game at all?
I have not.
You haven't done the YouTube stories?
No.
What about the YouTube, on YouTube, why did you end up posting every day or 5 days a week? What was the angle there? That's a lot.
I know. And making YouTube videos is the hardest to do.
Yeah.
Compared to Instagram or whatever. So initially when I started out, I'm like, okay, I want to do 3 a week. I think that's a good amount. And I'm doing it.
How long is it one of your shows on YouTube, say?
10 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
I'm doing it, it's going good, and I'm building out the systems.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, all right, now let's really go after it.
Okay.
Because I just think when you have momentum, you have to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
And I think with TikTok and YouTube both, you're gonna gain exponential growth. Because, that's the other part I didn't even mention. That's Instagram, Facebook's problem is they're like a 24-hour cycle. Instagram post, it's good for 24 hours and then it's at the bottom of the feed.
Right.
Stories are gone after 24 hours. Whereas YouTube, it's evergreen. They're there forever.
Yeah, they sit there, yep.
So the more you put out, you're just gonna get more and more people watching. Yeah, they'll get the new stuff, but they also still consume the old stuff. And that's what TikTok did really well was, you'll see like on your TikTok feed, your For You page, videos from 2-3 months ago. You don't see that on Instagram. You only see the most recent.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm like, hey, if I put out a lot of content, it will get seen all the time versus Instagram, it's already gone.
On YouTube, do you do the playlist at all? Do you build playlists?
Yeah.
How do you kind of categorize yours? Give the viewers an example. Do you have like inside of a house, outside of a house? What do you do?
Yeah, so I've got a real estate playlist. I've got my weekly vlogs. So every Friday, I release a vlog, just kind of behind the scenes.
Sure.
I've got just finance related, talking about money and budgeting and all that, credit cards.
Okay.
I've got, what else do I got?
You go through lenders on that one?
Yep.
Like hard money and all that stuff works?
Yep, just talking about money. I've got a few other ones. I can't even remember.
You build the playlist out, and then that's what I like about it as well. What you're saying is like you make this video, you play it, it goes whatever, people watch it, but then it sits on your kind of homepage of YouTube, in your playlist that can be played for 55 more years basically.
Down the road.
I think a mistake that I made a while back was I looked at YouTube as a holding tank for my video content. I made all this video, I'm like, I'm gonna put it on Facebook, I'm gonna put it on Instagram, and then I'm gonna throw it on YouTube to hold it, basically. And if someone wants to watch it, that's cool. In reality, I think YouTube is one of the best social media platforms that's out there right now. And I think YouTube is making plays in the sense of they added the stories to it, right? The comments are getting easier to use. And what you talk about with SEO, I mean, who owns YouTube? Google. Everybody Googles everything, and why would Google not have YouTube pop up before Facebook?
Right.
Like, Google wants to promote YouTube because A, they own it, and B, it's a lot more actual content on YouTube than there's gonna be on Facebook, right?
Well, and two, the thing I love about that is I look at like Google and YouTube as like my partner because we're both making money if my video is getting seen. And so Google's incentive is to push videos that are good.
Yeah.
And if I make good videos, they make money, I make money. So like Instagram, they just don't care.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I had a guy, a couple interviewed a while back, has like close to 20 million followers. And the majority of his came from Facebook, right? He's 10 million plus on Facebook followers. And he sat in the chair and I asked him the question, I said, if you could start over right now, what would you tell someone? And he said, put everything in TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok, and then second was YouTube.
Right.
He said, dude, I wouldn't even worry about Facebook and Instagram. He's like, create it, throw some stuff over there from your TikTok and your YouTube stuff. He's like, let it be what it is.
Right.
He's like, dude, put it in TikTok and YouTube. Go with me now on TikTok for a second. Obviously, they started releasing some paid for creators, right? But it's still kind of hard to get paid over there per se right now.
Right.
But to me, it's not about getting paid. I think it's the mistake that a lot of people make. You can't look at TikTok as a platform that's going to pay you right now. To me, it's about eyeballs.
Yeah.
Right. It's about viewership.
Right.
What's your thoughts on TikTok?
I love it. I mean, I looked at my KPIs on TikTok before this, and I think in the last 7 days, I've had over 1 million views.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And you're like, where else can I get 1 million views like that?
Yeah.
It's nowhere.
Nowhere out there.
It's nowhere. And I think, using the platform like YouTube, you're not going to make what you can make on YouTube.
Sure.
You know? It's just kind of like a cherry that, hey, we will pay you too. It's not like we're like those greedy Facebook guys.
Right.
And, but yeah, I think it's eyeballs for other things you've got going on. You know, when you look at, say, my business, right? It's the eyeball to say, hey, you know, you want to learn more about investing in education? You can go to my company. You want to partner with us? Are you an agent in Vegas? You want to lend money? Like, I've gotten lenders, I've gotten deals, I've gotten students.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I've made a lot of money on TikTok, but not from TikTok.
Outside of TikTok paying you per se. On your TikTok at the top, they give you a little profile.
Yeah.
Do you drive them to YouTube? Because you can drive them to YouTube or I think Instagram.
Right.
Where do you drive them?
I mean, I have it linked to both.
To both of them right there? Yeah, because to me, like, dude, driving from TikTok to YouTube is to me the way to go right now.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to build that influence out there.
Well, and the thing I'll say too is that's what makes TikTok unique is that they're not like trying to only keep you in TikTok.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you link your YouTube.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You can go to YouTube, but the other platforms, they're like, you stay here.
They ban that stuff
yeah,
basically.
I'm gonna handcuff you.
Yeah.
You can't leave.
They hate it on Instagram when you create a story and you have a swipe up, you have over 10,000, right? So I put a story there and I want to swipe up, that drives them to one of my YouTube videos.
Right.
And the algorithms on those are wretched horrible.
Really?
Yeah, because again, you're taking them off of Instagram and putting them on a competitor of YouTube right there.
Yeah, they
right?
don't like it.
And the algorithm is horrible because they don't want you to leave Instagram, right, to go to their competitor basically. So I had one more thought there. One more question on your social media stuff on YouTube. Let's talk about. Do you ever spend money promoting any of your videos at all? Have you tried that yet?
I haven't tried, sponsoring the video up. We've ran some like ads, but never just promoting videos that I've made.
Interesting. Let's take just a second here. I want to hit rapid. I want to move to a thing called Ryan's favorites, and I want to go. Wait, before we got a photo here of you, and let the audience see that right there. And so this is. I'm going to take you back some here, man.
Okay.
And so what? Tell us what we're looking at here.
This is a showcase event in high school. I would guess I'm either 16 or 17.
Years old right there?
Yeah.
Man, you had a young look at 16.
I know, man.
That's a fresh look. Where are you playing at? It says USA on your shirt. Do you remember where you're playing at?
Man, there's so many different like showcase events. I don't know where this would have been. I've played everywhere.
So that was 16, and your number was 3.
3, yeah.
What made you choose 3?
I just always liked the number 3, man. I don't even know why.
I thought it was Alex Rodriguez.
I was going to say, A-Rod, I grew up a Mariners fan, so I liked A-Rod.
Yeah.
And then A-Rod's been weird because then everyone hated A-Rod.
Yeah, the most hated player for a while.
Yeah, and then everyone's kind of liking A-Rod again as a broadcaster and J-Lo.
Dude, you talk about a guy that rebuilt his brand.
Yeah.
Was A-Rod.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he has absolutely, completely revolutionized his brand. He went from the most hated player, his own fans in his own home team booed him like daily. Yep. He had all the steroid issues, all the scandals, right? And then all of a sudden has completely rebranded himself, and he's like a rock star right now in the YouTube world, in the education world.
He's on TikTok making videos.
He's on TikTok with his family. Got back into sportscasting on ESPN and all that stuff. Dude, he did a great job at it. All right, so let me go through some favorites here with you really quick. I've got a handful of questions here. Number 1, is there anybody that you follow, kind of study as your favorite influencer, whether past or present? You got a favorite influencer?
Man, I'm so new to the influence game. I was doing videos about this a couple months ago that like 2 years ago, I didn't know who Gary Vee was. I didn't know any of these guys.
Yeah.
So like to me, every time I hear someone, I'm like, oh man, that guy's cool.
Yeah.
To pick a guy, I mean.
If you don't have one, it's fine. I just didn't know if is there anybody you follow right now?
Man, I mean, Gary's great. I think Gary's always ahead of the trends and what's going on. So if I was to like listen, I'd be listening to what Gary says.
Right on, man. I'm gonna ask you this. I may know the answer, but favorite social media platform you got?
Man, I love TikTok and YouTube. I love them both.
Yeah. And I guess we'll go with both because your handle is the same.
Yeah.
Ryan Pineda at
Ryan Pineda Show.
Ryan Pineda Show.
Yep.
Let's see. Give me your favorite holiday.
Holiday, man. These are tough questions. I mean, Christmas. I've always loved Christmas, man.
Are you a Christmas guy?
Yeah.
You a decorator?
My wife is.
Yeah.
Our whole house, and then she gets me to get on the roof and like do all. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm too old for this at this point, man. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas movie. Man, that is a good one. There's a ton of them. There was a recent one. I'm trying to remember what it was.
On Netflix?
No, just like it came out in theaters. I don't even know. Dude.
There was the one with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. It came out. Daddy's Home 2.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a
Elf
Christmas
is great.
One. Yeah.
They're all great.
Favorite athlete as a kid?
Griffey
fan, dude. That guy was
man.
a rock star, right?
That's the most
I still
pure
collect his cards.
Baseball player
his
ever.
swing, there's no one's even came close to that. The swing that he had, man.
Yeah.
Or were you a lefty or righty as a hitter?
Righty.
A righty. And righties can never have that smooth swing.
I wish I was a lefty.
I know the lefties always have that nice fluid swing, it seems like. Favorite thing about Vegas?
Favorite thing about Vegas? I mean, obviously all my family and friends are there. I grew up there. I would say I've lived everywhere. You know, I've lived in Canada, East Coast, down south, up north, Cali. I just love Vegas for a lot of reasons, man. I love it for business reasons. It's very business friendly. I love it for weather. A lot of people don't like the dry heat.
Sure.
But I love it because I've been in the humidity, which is terrible.
Yeah.
I love it for the affordability, all the things to do. Like, I love everything about it. And people are like, will you ever move? I'm like, no.
It's your home, man.
Yep.
And you're one of the rare birds that actually born and raised in Vegas, which is very unique process as well. I want to get you on a couple predictions here I got for you. A little rolling the 8 ball here, if you will. I think we got 3 of them up here for you. Let's see. The first one would be, there it comes right here. Who wins the World Series this season?
Man,
short season.
Yeah. I mean, this season's so interesting because like there's going to be a lot of playoff teams.
Yeah.
It's really whoever gets hot.
Yeah.
But
it's amazing how a team can get hot like that.
Yeah.
And take it all the way through.
Yeah. It's I mean, this season more than ever, it's really a crapshoot. But if I had to pick the most talented team, it's either the Dodgers or the Yankees. I think they're going to meet.
Yeah, Dodgers are stacked, man. With Gavin Lux, do you follow him at all?
Yeah, he's a beast.
Gavin Lux, Cody
Did they ever even
Bellinger.
call him up yet?
I know last year they had him up there.
Yeah.
They got Gavin Lux, Cody Bellinger, Kershaw,
Mookie.
of course, Mookie now, and they got the other Walker Buehler.
Yep.
And they got some studs over there, man.
Yep. But if I'm going to guess the winner, I think LA is going to finally get one.
The Dodgers.
Yeah.
It is a good season for them. Will Trump win Nevada?
I don't think so.
You think it'll stay blue?
Yeah.
Why do you think it'll stay blue?
I think Nevada's hurting so much from COVID that they're going to just want change.
They're going to want the change and look for someone to blame it on, basically.
Yeah.
So your vote on that is it'll stay blue there. And I think we got, is it the last one? Yep, that's the last one there. All right, man, I want to talk to you about kind of wrapping it down here. You have also, I know you do a ton of fix and flip, but you also do Airbnb.
Yep.
And you do those up in California.
Yeah.
Not Las Vegas.
Right.
Why did you go California?
It was by accident. We were looking for a second home. You know, we were having success, and I said, hey, where would be a cool second home to visit?
Yeah.
And I had been in Big Bear many times. It's only about 3.5 hours from Vegas. I'm like, Big Bear would be cool. We looked at a bunch of spots. We looked at Bryan Head near here. I looked in Tahoe. And looking at just the ROI of all of them, I'm like, Big Bear has the best bang for buck.
Okay.
And we ended up finding a spot out there, paid like 200 grand for this cabin, beautiful cabin, whereas in Tahoe, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, man, only 3.5 hour drive. This is great. And we bought it. And I said, okay, we're going to Airbnb it just to, pay the mortgage. That's what I thought. I'm
Subsidize the mortgage, basically.
Yeah, but that was my only intention, to have a second home for free.
Gotcha.
Well, that didn't happen. It ended up being stupid lucrative. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get on this.
Dig deeper into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that first one for 200 grand, it was renting for, $4,000 to $5,000 a month.
Uh-huh.
And the mortgage was like $1,500. So I was like, we're going to buy some more of these. So we just kept buying them. And then I flipped a few out there just because I'm like, hey, this is a really good deal, but, I don't want to keep it.
Sure.
So it was purely by accident.
That you got into it out there?
Yeah.
How many you got there now on Airbnb?
We have 8 on Airbnb, and then we're working on 2 more.
Do you like Airbnb better than the rental, just the straight rentals?
I think it depends. I think there's benefits to Airbnb. One is revenue's usually higher. 2 is that you can actually use it and gain value that way. And then the third is I think it's a little more diverse. I think you're seeing that now with rentals where, hey, if somebody doesn't pay, you're screwed for months.
Yeah.
You don't have the eviction problem in Airbnb.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of benefits, but in the end, it is another business. I mean, even just one is you're running a hotel.
Right.
So I think you have to really dial that in if you're going to do it. And I would say originally I was going to have like an Airbnb in multiple cities. I'm
Okay.
like, hey, I'm going to have all my second homes.
Yeah.
But then once I built it out with the cleaning crew and all, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's not worth it for one.
What would you tell someone that's maybe thinking about getting an Airbnb right now as part of their investment strategy? What would you say is maybe the worst thing about Airbnb if someone's looking at it right now?
The worst thing, I would
Or
definitely
the toughest thing maybe you go through?
I would definitely say it's the restrictions with the cities. That's
Okay.
the biggest headache. In Vegas, I don't have any because it's super restrictive.
Okay.
They want you on the strip. They don't
Yeah.
want you on Airbnbs. And even in Big Bear, where it's somewhat Airbnb friendly because that's their economy. They're a tourist economy. There's not a lot of hotels.
Right.
So even them, they're a pain in the butt with compliance and all this. So I would say be ready for the city compliance. That's, to me, the biggest headache.
That's the biggest headache there.
Yeah.
If someone wants to get some more information, do you have any trainings or videos, whatever it is, on Airbnb?
Yeah, so we actually cover that in my coaching program.
Okay.
A lot of people are interested in it. And I've also done webinars on it, which when you join the program, you get access to the recording. So we definitely have stuff on it.
Have you made any YouTube on it yet?
I have.
Oh, you do have some YouTube videos on that one as
Yep.
well.
So you can check my YouTube out on Airbnb, benefits, pros and cons. I've actually got one coming out, I think, next week about the numbers. So
Okay.
like I go over what I made last month.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what the truth is. Like, hey, here's what we paid in cleaning. Here's what,
Yeah.
the fees are.
Have you done one on TikTok?
No, I need to.
You need to do one on TikTok.
Dude,
man.
that's a
That'd be
good
great one.
idea.
I don't know if I've seen. I'm sure someone's done it, but I don't think I haven't seen one on Airbnb and TikTok yet.
Right.
Could be another a vertical there for you.
Yeah.
And if someone wanted to just get more general information about you, what is the kind of the best website for them to go to?
General info, if you go to ryanpineda.com,
Okay.
you will see all my companies.
Okay,
You'll
they're
see,
all hosted there, if you will.
yeah, you could check out any of my companies. You could check out all my social medias, my YouTube. So that's kind of the about me.
The hub, if you will. Just
Yeah.
go to your personal website. We'll put it on the screen here as well for that. I want to get to your answer here. We talk about, obviously, the Money Is show, and we've got a picture of you here with Money Is blank, and meaning what does money mean to you? Obviously, you've been successful in sports, relationships with your wife, and of course, real estate now as well, and other businesses you're branching out too. And I'm excited to see what it means to you.
Yeah.
It has all different meanings to different people. I think it also kind of changes as you get more money or less money. It kind of evolves and changes. So I'm gonna give this to you. You fill out the answer there, sign it below. Let me
Okay.
get you the marker, and then me and you are gonna talk about what that answer was.
All right. I have really bad handwriting, so.
Oh, we've seen some. We've had to have some interpretations from some people. Yours looks good, man. You'll be fine. And that is the first time for that one, so it's a good one. I love when people give new words.
Yeah.
Versus the same. This is a really, really good one, and I 100% believe in it. All right, so those watching, here's Ryan's word right here. Is money is an amplifier.
Yep.
Money is an amplifier, and dude, that is such a good word for what money is. You tell me why you said that.
You know, when I first walked into the set today, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna say? And I had heard that quote from someone before. I wish I could give them credit because I don't remember, but they were like basically, hey, money does not change you. It only amplifies who you already are.
Okay.
You know, if you are a greedy person, more money makes you more greedy and, you know, allows you to do that. If you're giving, you get more money, you're just naturally going to give more money. And so I think it brings out not even the best and worst, but it just amplifies what you already are. I mean, if you're a good person, man, you see all these rich people who do great things for the world, and then you see a lot of slime balls.
Yep.
I don't think that money changed them. I think it just amplified what they already were.
We just get to see more into who they are now.
Yep.
Because of it. It is 100% truth, man. I've traveled the world talking about money and so forth, and money is absolutely an amplifier. It's almost like even a magnifying glass into seeing in depth into the heart and soul of somebody, of who they are. And it does not change them as far as internally. They may change from the outside with cars or houses or whatever.
Right.
But internally, it just opens it up and lets you see inside of it, man. What a great word, man. I absolutely love that one. I want to do one last thing here, which is I want to give you kind of the table here. You find a lot of success in your life. We didn't get to dive into, of course, all of it right now. But those that are watching, what would be some of the kind of key parts of maybe your success on the what you talked about on the show or not on the show? Kind of some final words there you would tell the viewers to walk away with today.
You know, I think now more than ever in today's world, there is many options. I mean, we have so much information freely available to us. We have a world that is changing that I see a lot of people with their head in a lot of places. And I think really the key to success is just laser focus on one thing. Whatever it is you want to do, you know, like, and people say, well, you have a bunch of different businesses. How can you be focused? And it's like, well, I didn't start them all at once.
Exactly.
You know, I was just focused strictly on, hey, fix and flip. That was it. Not wholesaling, not the brokerage, nothing. Mastered that. Okay, great. What can I do now? All right, we'll do this. We'll do this. But when my mind is just only on one thing, you know, like that, I focus on it until it's at the point where, hey, now we can delegate, we can do other things. And I see so many people doing everything, and it's just, they fail. You know, even in just take the niche of real estate investing, I see people say, well, I want to wholesale, I want to flip, I also want to do Airbnb, and I'm getting my license, and I'm like, you're not going to make any money. Like,
you're not, nope.
You have to pick one, because this business is hard enough for just one in anything. So hyper focus.
I could not agree with you more. I love studying at my personal office at my house. I collect old school entrepreneurs. I love history, and so I have these old entrepreneurs, and I have their autographs.
Okay.
So like these old school Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, you know, P.T. Barnum and Bailey. Like I have these old autographs. And when you said that, it made me think of Andrew Carnegie, who was one of the richest men to really almost ever walk the face of the planet, right? At his highest, he made Jeff Bezos look small, and which is nuts to think about, right? And but his advice was exactly what you said. If you ever go study him, he says, put all your eggs in one basket. And watch that basket like a hawk. Which is, in business, what he was saying. He said, dude, you can't be all things to all people. Find out what you're good at, do that one thing, and put everything into it. And then as you get bigger, then you can start spreading out. And it was exactly, so I'm going to compare you to the modern day Andrew Carnegie. Which would be a great compliment, because he was absolutely an incredible person. Ryan, it's been an awesome time having you, man. I look forward to doing some AC Sports with you. And we're going to rip some cards. And I may or may not have some of your baseball cards from your back in your day that we're gonna pull out and show you as well on some AC Sports stuff. But awesome show, man. Look forward to some more stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And if you guys want to follow him, make sure you follow him at his personal website, also his business website, Future Flippers.
futureflipper.com.
And also read his book, man. He's got an awesome book, TikTok, YouTube, all over the place, man. And we'll see you guys next week on the Money Is Show.
physics.